So joining me right now is Dr. Bolaji Akeem Jimoh, who happens to be a business strategist and a financial expert to help us unravel interest rate in an economic stimulation. Doc, very good day to have you on the show, sir.
Good day, my host. Thank
Right.
you very much. I'm up here.
All right, sir. So
Thank you.
let's get down to the issue. For you, Doc, can you just break down what interest rate portend in an economy for our viewers?
Okay. When we talk about interest rates, basically the interest rate is can be termed to be cost of borrowing, and at the same time, it is also the return on savings. It is actually what government use as mechanism for actually regulating the economy. It's one of those instruments that are used by the federal government to actually regulate the economy. Thank you.
All right, interesting. But someone want to know, how important is interest rate in an economy? Can you help us shed light on that? The importance of interest rate in an economy.
Yeah, the role interest rate play in an economy very much. One thing we need to know is that when the interest rate determines the level of spending, and at the same time also determines the level of savings. It is actually an instrument that, if it is, for example, if the interest rate is very high, you find out that it will discourage borrowing, because most of the investors will not want to borrow at high cost of capital. Then the interest rate is very low. You will find out that it will encourage investments, because a lot of investors will want to go and borrow so that they can invest the money borrowed, so that they can generate more employment and be more productive. However, we need to know that the rate, the role it plays in an economy, that's its importance in an economy, are numerous. Example, if the government want to actually regulate the level of inflation, interest rate is actually used to regulate that, because when the inflation rate is high, you see that government will increase the interest rate, and this will make it will discourage borrowing. So it will reduce the that is in circulation, because it will encourage more people to save their money, because they know when you save your money, you get more returns on your savings, and that will actually reduce the spending in the economy. Another important role that it plays is that it's actually normally it is actually used to also discourage savings, so as for the economy to be able to invest. So whenever the government find out that the government find out that our production level is low, and need for investment to be done, more investment to be done, then you see that they will lower the interest rate, lower it to the extent that people that have this money will be looking at that, instead of me keeping the fund in the bank and generating just little interest on it, why don't I put it into an investment opportunity? And also that can actually lead to employment generation. And it plays a much more important role in an economy, because it's one of the major key instrument that is used in regulating the economy. Thank you.
That's interesting. But most of our viewers may get a little bit confused around the technicality of interest rate helping the economy. But my direct question right now is that, how much of this interest rate and how much of it has really helped Nigeria economy to grow, from your own understanding of the instrument of interest rate to control the economy and to ensure the economy grows? So how much of it has really helped the economy to grow or stimulate the economy the way we want it to be?
Thank you. You see, one of the major problems that what every economy in the world normally face is this issue of need to stabilize the economy. Stabilize the economy, and the financial system that stabilizes the economy is through the interest rate, because you interest rates serve as a tool for controlling business cycles, because it goes down an overheated economy. When we say an economy is overheated, when there's much pressure in the economy of a country, it can be used to slow it down and also stimulate a weak economy. So it has actually helped in Nigerian situation to actually do that, because it normally controls the lending. That's the rate at which people borrow, and also controls the rate at which people save. So if federal government find out, for example, now that the interest rate, that the inflation rate is very high, like in Nigeria, where as at present, we are looking at about 27%. That is the interest. So it is one of those things that government is using presently to discourage too much money that is in circulation, so as to slow down the pressure, the inflationary pressure that is presently.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, but there are also issues within this management of our interest rate. And for you, as someone who is at that corridor of understanding interest rate, what are the challenges of managing Nigerian interest rate?
The major challenges that we are facing in managing Nigerian interest rate, for example, is the fact that there's structural inflation. Structural inflation in Nigeria, because majority of what do I mean by structural inflation? Now you find out that the inflation that is happening in Nigeria is as a result of the structure. That is, it is more systemic. If you look at, for example, now we have power problem. We have the issue of rural roads are bad. So most of our infrastructure, that they are bad to the extent that the supply side cannot quickly adjust to the demand. Because generally people look at inflation, that the continuous increase in price as a result of demand exceeding supply. That's what people normally look at. But it is not all inflation that is actually caused like that. Fine, that it is when the price increase as a result that the supply is lower when compared. That is generally what we believe inflation is. And based on this, I'm now saying that the structural inflation is actually a situation whereby the supply would not actually adjust to changes in demand due to infrastructural problem that we are facing. And so that is major challenge that we are having in Nigeria. I think it's just normal inflation. We will have said, okay, managing the interest rate, increasing or reducing it to actually manage to stabilize the economy will be a little problem. It will be to be done.
Exactly.
But because we are facing structural inflation, then it becomes for this economy to be able to manage it. Thank you.
All right. But Doc, let me quickly take you on one of the realities of inflation in Nigeria. Recently, we have our inflation number dropping to 16.02. But most Nigerians are yet to understand and yet to come to terms with this figure and what they see in the market. So how can we explain this to them in a simplified way? Because I had engagement with people who still believe that, no, even though the figure is 16, but what we are seeing outside is more than the 16. But how can we explain to them so they can understand beyond the technicality of these numbers, beyond the technicality of the mechanism, how best can we explain this to them so they can grasp what interest rate as well as in relation to inflation on Nigerian economy is all about?
I think what people need to know is that the inflation figure that we are seeing, you're asking about the inflation, right?
Yes, exactly. Because so I can explain to them, because they are still finding it difficult to come to the comparison, that understanding of that inflation rate as we speak right now is 16.05. But when they go to the market, they see something else. And to most Nigerians, it's like, no, government is deceiving us with this inflation coming down.
You see, the major problem that we are facing in Nigeria, and that is why people find it difficult to believe in government, is that majority of these prices that you are seeing are not as a result of the inflation pressure itself. Because the inflation now at 16% that we are saying, that it has reduced to 16%.
Exactly.
Naturally, if that is given, then the prices of things that we are buying in the market supposed to also reduce gradually. But you find out that it is human-induced inflation. That is to say, suppliers are inducing the inflation, not because of the pressure in the market. The pressure or the pressure in the economy is supposed to control what the prices will be. But in the case of Nigeria, we have a lot of these traders that find it difficult to reduce the price because the price has increased. So what they have tasted, let me say, what they have tasted in the past in terms of gain, they want it now to be excessive gain. Even when the cost of production or cost of getting those goods and services has reduced, they still want to maintain the level at which is sold in the past. Let me give you a good example. Look at bread. A loaf of bread costs between 2000 to 2005.
Exactly.
In Abuja here.
Yeah.
I find out that this was the same cost of bread as at when the flour, that the flour that they are using for bread was actually 90,000 naira. The sugar was almost 100,000 naira per bag. Now that the cost of flour now has gone below to like 40,000 naira in the market. The sugar is also. So why is it that the cost of bread, why is it that the price of bread cannot come back to, cannot reduce from the 2,000 naira? Why is it selling the same size of bread for that same price? So you find out that the prices of goods and services that you are seeing in the market is induced by the marketers. It's actually induced those suppliers, not the forces of demand and supply that normally regulates inflation.
Exactly.
So that is why the case in Nigeria is a little bit more pathetic than what that is making us to see. And that is why people still believe that government is deceiving them without looking at it from the angle that it is those marketers that are actually trying to play pranks. Thank you.
All right, interesting. But let's really take a look at what is happening right now in Abuja. I also understand that you are in Abuja for other conferences that you are attending. Now, CBN is meeting right now. I think they almost completed their meeting. They are preparing the communique to release. And the question still remains that currently, before they will release the new interest figure, we have 27% as our interest numeric figure that we have been using since September till now. But for you, do you think that figure has really helped the economy to stabilize or to stimulate growth within the economic system of Nigeria?
Anyway, we need to be careful when we talk about that percentage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Actually, we can look at it from two different perspectives. That's actually helped when it comes to countering inflationary pressure and stabilizing the exchange rate expectation. The 27% has actually helped, and that is why you are seeing that gradually you are finding out that inflation is going down. However, it has its own also the other side of it, because look at it, it's normally tied to the economy. And if you look at Nigeria economy, it is expected that we are more productive. So we are supposed to be producing because we are trying to discourage importation. And at the same time, we want to create employment. So when the interest rate is as high as 27%, that can signal a bad thing for the economy because it will discourage investment. And when it discourages investment, you find out that the production level goes down. And also the employment creation will be a little bit difficult because most of the industries will not be able to expand as the fund that they rely on, most especially those ones that rely solely on the fund from the bank, they find it very difficult. So that is why we are saying that looking at it from the two sides. It's actually good because it helps us to counter the inflationary pressure that we are facing, stabilizing the economy by stabilizing the exchange rate expectations. But the other side of it is that it can actually affect our investment. Expansion of it.
All right, Doc. Very interesting and very constructive when it comes to interest rate is inflation. And majorly for most of Nigerians, food inflation is what they are more interested on. They not that they don't care with other aspects of inflation, but food inflation at the core level is what they are very much interested in. Now, for the federal government and state government, what would be your advice for them on tackling food inflation in Nigeria?
You see, food inflation in Nigeria is actually, the government is trying its best to tackle, because this interest rates increased to 27%. One of the reasons is to tackle the issue of food inflation. And if you look at it sincerely, the prices of goods, of foodstuff, as at January this year, and the prices of the foodstuff as at now has actually reduced drastically, which means the inflation has been controlled to an extent. I told you, we need to be sincere. Most of these things are actually affected. Most of these prices are affected by the nature of our marketers. The truth price, that's the real price of goods and services in Nigeria, can be said to have reduced drastically, showing government should be given a plus for controlling the inflation on food. A measure of beans was actually sold for about 3,000 naira lately. Now in the market is less than 1,200, 1,300. A bag of rice was actually sold for almost 90,000 naira for local rice, and about 120, 130 for foreign rice. For those of you that knows how much they're selling that anyway, because I think I beat up. But the price of the local rice go as far as 90,000, 94,000 naira per bag. But as of today, you can see this local rice, the same one that we are talking about, of that 94,000 naira, for 60,000, 55,000 naira as of today. So you can see that is almost about 60%. That's about 40% reduction.
Exactly. So
which shows that the inflation rate of food inflation is actually coming down. So kudos to the government for doing that. However, there's still much to be done, because if we are trying to actually reduce the food inflation, there's a need for reproduction in that. And the reproduction in agriculture can only be encouraged when there's security in the farming area, and when the cost of inputs is drastically reduced. That's the cost of fertilizer and the seedlings that they are using in growing those crops. So their prices need to go down, and there's a need for serious security in those farming area. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Doc, before I let you go, in less than 30 seconds, there is high expectation as we speak right now. Less than 25 minutes from now, we're going to be receiving the new interest rate for Nigeria, financial sector and the economy at large. But for you, where do you stand? There are people who say, CBN, please don't cut it, stay at 27%. There are people who say, CBN, please cut it to 26.50. There are some people who say, no, CBN, cut it to 25% on the dot. But for you, Doc, where do you stand? 25, 26, 26.50, or just hold on to 27?
Actually, if we are to look at what I would say, I would generally say that the CBN should maintain the 27%.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Doc. That's a brilliant suggestion, and we hope maybe it could be one of the resolutions of the CBN by 2 p.m. today, Nigerian time, when they'll be releasing the communique on the new interest rate, MPR rate for Nigeria. Dr. Bolaji Akeem Jimoh, thank you so much for coming on the show today, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, sir.
It's my pleasure.
All right, enjoy your outing there in the city of Abuja. All right, I've been speaking with Dr. Bolaji Akeem Jimoh, happened to be the HOD, that means head of department of business administration at the Nigerian Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna. He has helped us to break down, the technicality, the complexity around interest